Hello tribe, I hope today finds you well. So it's an exciting evening, it's late in the day here. I was looking to wrap up for the day and Waves go and drop a new plugin that has exploded. The world is going to a storm, well, the audio digital music world anyway, which is the world I live in. What they've done is put out the Waves Omni Channel from Andrew Scheps. It's essentially a channel strip that's completely modular, meaning you can take the preamp, you can take the compressor, you can take the EQ, and you can rearrange the order. Not only can you do that, but you can change the type of filter in each band of the EQ, and you can change what type of compressor between VCA, Opto, and FET. You can change the type of preamp and how much it's going to saturate, and you can mix them all together. And then to get really, really insane, you can put your own other Waves plugins in that channel. So you could take a pre and put a delay and then put the EQ after it, or you could put the SSL channel strip inside the channel strip for an inception beyond belief if you really wanted to do it. It's pretty damn awesome. One sneaky thing, Waves gave out a free plugin over Christmas. Part of this that was cheeky and sneaky. Waves, we're on to you. Let's just jump into Logic and have a look at it.
So as if by magic, we are in Logic, and in front of us is the Scheps Omni Channel. Who would have thought I'd do that? Relatively simple yet incredibly complex looking thing, right? If we go left to right, and this is the default, the absolute preset that it comes out with, we've got our pre, we've got our gate, we've got our de-esser squared, our EQ, then compression, and then we have something that says insert, no insert. We'll get into that. And then we've got a relatively usual looking output. It's also got our input here, so we're going to manage the whole lot from there. With the two sliders below, we've got our left, right, and stereo, or we've also got mono and mid side. There's also a limiter on here and a threshold for it. It gets a lot more complex than that though. So each of these individual modules, as you can see, they're separated by a grey bar down each. They are modular in the fact that you can move them to anywhere you like. I can take the pre here by clicking the two arrows at the top, and it will highlight that module, and I can drop it anywhere I choose. And it will rearrange the channel strip for me. So I can change the signal flow entirely while having it flow through each of these individually. Now that's pretty special in its own right, but not anything that has never been seen before. There's other plugins out there that do exactly this, and multiples of them at that. Where this starts to get a bit more interesting is where we can just look at this top section here, and we've got stereo, we've got duo. Now duo means two versions of a mono plugin, so left and right independent. And then we've got MS. We can read each of these individually. So we could go mid-side for our pre and process that in mid-side mode. By the time it reaches the gate, it's back to stereo, and we could then go for duo on the EQ and back to stereo for the compressor. And we can mix and match those as we see fit. Now that is very powerful, because if you want to do that in a regular channel strip, you're going to do a bit of your processing, you're going to go to another plugin, you're going to put the channel strip on afterwards and disable whatever you've already programmed in. You can do it all in here, and that's such powerful routing. But then moreover, you can route it like this as well and change it around. It goes another step even further than that. So let's have a look where it says pre, and we've got our two arrows here, and we know we can move that. There's also this little box here just next to it. That is going to open further parameters for each module. So for example, in pre, we've now got our left and right independent channels, and we can also see our left and right filters. And we also have the thump parameter here, which I can engage just on the mids or just on the sides if I like. Or if we put it in duo, on the left or the right. Or stereo, we can turn the link off. It's so incredibly powerful. Now, just to explain what thump is like adding a resonance at your cutoff. So you can have that be around 2 decibel or 4 decibel in a boost. So we switch thump on, and it gives a resonance just before the cutoff. And we can click this again to close those away. Now we can do that with each individual one, which is kind of insane. And we're going to go over each one just here. Now on the pre, we've got saturation. We can engage or disengage that. And we've got 3 different kinds: odd harmonics, even harmonics, or straight up distortion and saturation. You describe that as clipping the channel in the case of a preamp here. Relatively simple to set up. You can choose whether to have saturation on or off, the amount, and then the type. Secondly, we have a gate as well as an expander that can be switched over to. Again, independently working stereo, duo, and mid-side mode. If we open it up, it also supports a sidechain feature with filter on each side as well. We have internal sidechain or external sidechain. And we have DS squared. DS squared is basically a de-esser, except you've got multiple ways of getting it to work. I would imagine internally this is working similar to the F6 dynamic EQ, because you can change the bands. You've got quite a narrow bell, wide bell, and high and low shelf, and we've got 2 of those, but actually we've got 4 because it's working left and right as well, and they can work independently. This allows you to do a whole host of other things rather than just DS a vocal area. You can, for example, control the boomy tones of a snare or something else in the same instance, instead of just having to EQ it out. In terms of the EQ, it's laid out similarly to how you'll find an SSL, apart from each channel here has got slightly different curve options, and each curve option changes the whole tonality. Now, I've not been through all of these yet. However, it's suggesting that the character of the curve is going to change in terms of saturation and phase relationship dependent as well. So each curve is emulating a different part of a different type of EQ. We also have P, which is going to put it into the parametric mode, which does give us a manual Q as well. We've got that for each band as well. And again, if we open it up, it splits out into the full left and right there for us to see. And lastly, comp. We've got VCA, FET, and Opto. VCA being sort of our slow warm compressor. FET's going to be a little bit quicker and still have some harmonics when driven. And Opto tends to be the most transparent. The really slow compressors, transients tend to get through, and it just catches the tail end of things. Pop that open again. We can see that we've got some different parameters. Everything's a lot more visual, and again we've got our side chains here that we can work on as well. We've got 2 different parts of the side chain as well. We can choose the trigger here based on a bell EQ, which is a nice little introduction there. And we can also put a high pass on if so desired. And lastly, we've got the insert channel here. And if we open that, currently it doesn't do anything. We have to insert something to it. So we can use the little plus just here. It's going to give us a plugin list. Now, this doesn't seem to be working. The plugin's only been out a couple of hours, so I imagine there's going to be some bugs and things that occur. When you click on it at the minute, your plugin list, it only gives you the modules that are available inside the Omni channel. And there is nothing that I can find in the manual to adjust that or search for further plugins. So perhaps it's a feature they intend to add. If you have a look in the Scheps material, which I'll try and pop on the screen now, you can see you can get the full Waves suite of plugins available in there. And in the video, they put H delay in and just show you that it is possible. At the minute, that doesn't seem to be working, but we could introduce another EQ module, for example, and that introduces that in there for us. And now it's glowing. We can see that there's an insert active, and when we click on it, it opens the GUI for it in there. And we could disable it again as such. So let's have a little play around with the plugin, a little look at some of the presets. I've got a track loaded here, which is one of the edits for my track Old School Days, which sounds like this with the plugins disabled. If you're new to the channel, probably not the type of music you're expecting, but that is what I enjoy working on. So what I thought we'd do first here is have a little look at some of the vocal presets. I've grabbed the vocal bus. I'm going to leave my processing on rather than undoing anything, just to get an idea of what's really going on. In this track here, everything in purple is currently going to that vocal bus. We've got this section and then dropping into the hook, and we'll just loop that smaller section, I think. So here's what we'll be listening to.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school days, driving with the lads in an F-Fresh Fiesta. Remember old school days.
There's lots going on there. Now, there's quite a bit of reverb and bits going on. Some of that's coming from the channels where I've used the CLA strip, so that is going to get affected. But some of it's also coming from the delay and whatnot here. We're going to leave it all in just to get a feel for what's going on. If we go into load, there is a whole bunch of presets in here from some fairly well-known names, to say the least. I mean, it's gone to some massive names. So the guys have obviously had this for a while to be playing around with it. So let's just try vocal 1 from Andrew. And what we're going to do is loop this first little bit here, listen to it clean, and then we're just going to introduce it and really hear what's going on. Oh, something I thought I'd point out to you is right at the top here, we've got this focus icon. This doesn't normally appear up here. And what this does is highlight some key areas for you to look at in some of the presets. So if we turn it off, you'll see that a lot of the orange circles there had disappeared. If we re-engage it, you'll see it highlights some parameters, and those are some key parameters that when the preset was made, they've selected you should look at and play around with. Just thought it was a nice little feature there to help you learn the plugin and the presets. So let's have a listen.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never.
Now that's adding a lot of thickness to that vocal with the saturation and all of the other harmonics being added per channel here. It's quite a nice effect. It's gaining it up quite a bit, which is probably skewing judgment, but we're going to have to roll with that for now because I'm not going to have time to match everything just on this little impression here. But it's doing lots of nice things, even though it's a preset. Now, I think what we're going to have a look at is just taking the saturation right down here and see what a difference that makes for us.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady get.
Yeah, so that saturation there, that's definitely the guilty party in adding a lot of the thickness into that vocal. If we turn all the parameters off, let's just have a little look at the de-esser and see how that's working.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember.
So it's in a pretty generic place that it's around the 3K marker, somewhere you'd probably DS quite a lot, and it's doing a whole high shelf there, so dipping the whole top end, taking it out by quite a few dB as well.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money.
However, it's doing a really nice job there. It's taking a little bit of the harshness out. It's doing a good job of a de-esser straight away. It's quite transparent. There's no real artifacts or anything going on, which is nice.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. We steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was burned.
Let's just disable these and have a listen to the different saturation types. Now, one great thing about this plugin is however you've got things set when you're swapping between these different settings. So the different saturation types, the different compression types, for example, it's going to maintain your levels. So obviously with a compressor, normally if you swap from a VCA style compressor into a FET, you're going to have to readjust it and re-gauge it to get the same sort of level of compression. This has been designed with that in mind, so that when you do swap between the different ones, it should maintain the current sound that you're listening to. So we're going to oversaturate this a little bit so we can really hear what's going on. We're just going to swap between the odd, even, and the heavy, which will be the clipping.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember.
Cool. Now with this particular vocal, even works really well because we've got sort of that auto-tuned sound running in the middle. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's sort of a naked vocal. There's a really compressed vocal, and then there's this auto-tuned one sandwiched in the middle. And the even harmonics are working really well because of that. That sounds really cool. Let's have a little listen to the EQ and see what that's doing.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh.
Of course, let's add in all that crunch back into the high end. But once we have the de-esser in, they should be working together quite nicely.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh.
So the de-esser is working to bring the tops out, and they're being pushed back in with the EQ. What we could maybe do is swap these two around because we have the power to do that. And we will now have that lift with the EQ, but it'll be controlled a bit more with the de-esser. Let's try that out.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember.
That's pretty cool. Let's disable these again real quick and just check out the compressor. Just want to make sure that's taken a few decibels out, and then we're going to switch between the VCA, FET, and Opto.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard.
Yeah, I'm finding myself returning back to the FET there, especially on that vocal. I think that's going to sound really good when we get those even harmonics back in as well. I mean, any of you guys that follow this channel know I love the Logic FET compressor. I use that all the time. It's obviously just a thing that I come back to. The gate, I'm not too bothered about the gate. Everything's working as I would like. Let's get these four back involved, and let's hear what we've got.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh.
So we've just dialed it back a little bit there. It's starting to push the plugin a little bit much. We're getting quite a lot coming back out. Even considering we're relatively restricted on what's being pushed up here. I mean, we have got nearly a 6 dB boost in the mids here, and perhaps we don't need that as much. We'll pull that back.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh,
Somewhere around there, we should be able to A-B that.
me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh.
Of course, we've just taken a couple of minutes there and we've thickened up the vocal. We've applied quite a little crunch to the top end and we've thickened it up in a nice way with the even harmonics there and that amount of saturation. We've got a nice overall tonality going on. I quite like what we've done there in just a couple of minutes.
Me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh, we steady rolling hard like leather. Ooh, we steady getting money, getting cheddar. Ooh, they want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember, me and my boys was birds of a feather. Ooh.
Yeah, that's really nice. Now, I had planned to go over a whole bunch of things in here, but this video is going to run far too long. So guys, if you want to know more about the plugin, throw me a comment down below. Whatever questions you've got, I'll build it into a video and get it out for you guys so we can have a look at it. If you want to download the demo of the plugin, I'll throw that in the description down below. One thing that has been massively requested to me already is that we check out the CPU usage. So I'm just going to get a blank session going with some audio playing over and over, and we're just going to see how many instances we can take on this on a nice Kaby Lake i7 processor, just to see how that's really going. I don't want to test it in this session because it's already a pretty heavy session. Okay guys, so what we've done is loaded an Alchemy patch and we're just going to play that over and over just on a 4 on the floor type pattern here that we've just got. And then we've got a Dave Darlington piano clarity patch, and I've enabled the gate as well. So all the modules are enabled, and we're just going to see how many instances of that we can run. If I change up here to my custom setup, we're going to see the CPU meter here. And for the sake of our sanity, and send that to nowhere. So bear in mind I'm also recording the screen in 4K. That hits the CPU pretty hard, but that's one instance. And we'll just keep going till we max out. Cool, we got our first system overload there with 11 rocking. Let's see if it wasn't just logic being a pain. There we go. So recording at 4K with Alchemy, which is a relatively CPU heavy synth, with 12 instances of all processes engaged. We can get 11 running, 12 will max out, and that's an i7 Kaby Lake processor.